Are you ready to take control of your life and join a community of like-minded women who are on a mission to live their best lives too? Healthier, happier, and wealthier? Then get ready to find the support and motivation you need to pursue your passions and goals. Get ready to develop the courage to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. Join the MyBest Life Tribe membership today and unlock a world of opportunities, empowerment, and sisterhood. Our exclusive community offers courses, collaborations, workshops, events, and so much more. Don't wait any longer to start living your best life. Visit our website, www.DrStem.com, and become a part of something truly special. My Best Life Tribe, where women thrive together. www.DrStem.com.
Are you ready to bounce back?
Welcome to the Bouncing Back podcast with Dr. Stem, where resilience meets inspiration. Join us as we explore powerful stories of overcoming adversity, share expert insights, and discover the tools you need to bounce back in life. Whether you're facing challenges or seeking motivation, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to another segment of Bouncing Back podcast with yours truly, Dr. Stem. I am so excited that you're here with us today because I have a very special guest. Remember when I wrote one of my memoirs, because now I've written so many of them, it was called Beyond the Tears, Bruised but Not Broken. When our guest reached out to me, in fact, I reached out to her and said, listen, I want you here on this podcast. And I asked her, what topic should we talk about? She graciously said, bruised but not broken. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to have this conversation with a Chaplain Alice. You know what? Kunguma. Is it Kunguma or Kunguma? Listen to me. Kunguma.
Yes.
So the reason why I'm having the tongue twister is Chaplain is literally from Zimbabwe. So she is my sister from Zimbabwe. Welcome to the show, Chaplain.
Thank you, Dr. Stem, and I'm pleased to be here. But there's something that keeps playing in my mind. Wife! Wife! Where are you? I will F-U-C-K everybody here. Everybody here will be dead by tomorrow. And you see a machete, grinding on the stone. Somebody's getting ready to cut people out. After the episode, somebody tells you, I love you. It's only the closest get the most. Alice, not everybody thinks like you. Do you think you are God? We will show you. You Black Africans, you think you come to America and you want to take over everything. You are wrong. I'll teach you. This is not your country. Go back to Africa. Alice comes. I will F-U-C-K here. You'll be dead by tomorrow. That was my life. From towards end of 2019 to 2021, when I finally said, enough is enough. Now, let's go back.
What a powerful way to start. What a powerful way to start. Chaplain, I want to start from the beginning. Who are you? Who is Alice Kunguma Coles?
Alice Kunguma Coles is a sweet young lady, born in Zimbabwe, raised in Zimbabwe, orphaned at the age of 5, lost her father, and because of our African culture, which is a topic for another day, I was separated from my mother. But in our culture, it takes a village to raise a child. I was taken in by my aunties and my uncles, and they raised me up such that if I speak today, I don't classify myself as an orphan because I grew up in a family and I grew up with people who loved me, who protected me, and who provided for me. But life is life. At the age of 16, I got married to protect me. At that time, I didn't realize they were protecting me. I thought they were not being fair on me, which means I left school at Form 2.
Mm-hmm.
Life being life, I realized, yes, I've been married, but I have a vision. I'm going somewhere. I'm not an everyday girl. I need to live my life. I walked out of the marriage at the age of 20, 21. I was an outcast in my family. It's a story for another day. For 2 years, because they couldn't take me divorcing. It was not heard of that a young girl to divorce and leave a man. We married and paid dowry in the family.
Yeah.
But I said, I have a vision. I'm going somewhere. That's a story for another day. I went back to school. I did my O-level. I started my business. I was doing very well until I met my late husband. I was talking to somebody just a few weeks ago. I was like, do you know, I was married to a very powerful, if it was in America, there are the people, I used to go to the Senate, I used to go into Parliament, I used to be in big government meetings accompanying my husband. I was a woman, I never knew how important the role I played in that time was because I just didn't know. I didn't have the opening. I went back to school. I did my first degree and Bachelor of Science, majoring in Bachelor of Agriculture. I was majoring in animal science.
Okay.
I moved. In the final year, things happened. We separated. He could not divorce me. He says, I will not leave you. You are my wife. But because I had a vision, I was going somewhere. I said, it's a story for another day. We want to get to how did Alice get here? Alice finally moved on with life. I didn't graduate. I did my 3 years. And the final year, I didn't graduate. But then I went back, started back my life from zero. I heard this other podcast about a woman who says I moved out with 2 suitcases. I resonate with her on one of your podcasts. I moved out of my matrimonial home with 2 suitcases. The thousands and thousands of dollars we're making in our family business, the assets, everything I left, I started again. It was in that process that God gave me a call to say, arise and shine, for my light is upon you. I was in a kind of a trance. I wasn't sleeping. It was in the morning. I was praying. I was on my farm. My workers were like, I could hear my workers saying, today mom is moving in the spirits. I saw behind my farmhouse, there is a mountain. And under that mountain, I saw a tunnel, very dark, very dark. And there was a voice telling me, go through that tunnel. I said, I can't even see. I started thinking about the Chinoi caves. If you've ever been to Chinoi cave, the dark cave, that's how dark it looked. I said, I know the dark cave, there are stones, there are snakes, there are all kinds of things in there. I can't see. The voice said, look, right at the end of the tunnel was a very small light. If you are able to walk through this tunnel, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I said, but I can't. And the voice said, if you want to see the light, you have to go through the tunnel. I dusted my face, put on my clothes, went back to the city, to my pastor. I told him, Bishop, then he wasn't my bishop, he was still a pastor, senior pastor, this is what I went through. What do you think? He says, let me pray about it. I went to a sister friend, spoke to her. She says, God has been telling me you have to move. I'm like, where to? She says, I don't know, but it's time for you to leave the country. I'm like, I'm not going anyway. How do I go? I had every reason not to go. She says, okay, it's up to you. Then I went back to my pastor and I said, Pastor, what did you say? He says, what do you think? I said, I feel people are saying, a friend of mine is saying it's time to move on. He says, I think she's right. It's time to move on. But where to? I don't know. I started touching Mozambique, South Africa, here, there. And I was just looking at where I could feel comfortable. My friend says, God is saying Tanzania. I said, yes, Tanzania. I said, how can I go to Tanzania? I don't speak Swahili. That place is dirty. It's dusty. It's smelly. I had every reason why I shouldn't go to Tanzania. She said, you asked me. I just told you. And I'm like, but I don't even have money. She says, how much do you need? I told her I need a ticket. I can't, because I was pregnant with my last baby. I can't go by bus. I need to fly. I gave every excuse. She gave me everything I needed. So I had no reason why I couldn't go to Tanzania. And for sure, my move into Tanzania was very smooth. Fast forward, that's where I found my calling. If one wants to know the story for Tanzania, nisubiri kidogo, niulize baadaye nitakwambia. Now I speak Swahili like MS Swahili. I even translate for Swahili sermons. When I was here, I was working with a non-profit. I even used to translate for Swahili people so that they can get help with the social work. I'm actually a little Swahili person on the other side. When I went back home 2015, after my call, I went to school, did my associate in biblical studies, went into get ordained in 2011, started ministry. But God had a calling for me. I was looking for my feet because I knew I am a pastor, but I could tell myself I'm not an ordinary pastor. I'm not a pulpit receive Jesus. Because I always felt everybody's preaching receive Jesus, but people need something that addresses their needs. Because when I say receive Jesus, I'm saying come to my church. When I come to my church, I'm saying sit on the bench. And then what? Heaven, yes, we all go to heaven because we have Christ. But there's a life on earth that I must live before I go to heaven. So I felt God wants me to do something in between. While they are in the church waiting to transition to heaven, people need somebody to help them live this phase of life. So I looked and searched and realized God wants me to be in the marketplace. So I started searching and I got connected with Nehemiah Project in Oregon. They opened the door. I came here first in 2015 for 3 months with a delegation of about 20 or so entrepreneurs from over 4 countries in Africa. We were supposed to come 50-something of us, but the rest couldn't get visas. I went back. I started working with entrepreneurs. I was training. I went all over. That's when I got connected to one of my special brother and sister, the Lindrams in North Carolina. I love the couple. They were so much supportive. We did programs in the remote places of Masai. We went into Mtwara. I did programs in Malawi. I did programs in Nigeria, some parts in Ghana, in Zimbabwe. I was moving and they felt, how can we empower you? I said, I want to be a coach. Then they called me 2019 to do my 1-year program in coaching in Florida. That's where my life for broken, bruised but not broken begins. I was here in America. This was my first time. It is my second time. And eventually, sorry, I forgot to say 2011, my husband finally passed on in a very sad death. He was murdered and I was a widow. But that's a story for another day. So I'm coming to America. I'm a widow. I'm single. I have no attachments, and I started my program very well, doing very well. And I was being hosted by this young couple in Pennsylvania. Then they were not small business. They were business people. They had properties. So they had people who would come and work on their properties when they do renovations. And this is where I met my ex-husband. Actually, there were quite a number of young men because I'm young girl, who were like interested in me. But this one just like caught my eye. He was so cool.
Yeah.
I'm saying he is so cool.
Yeah.
He's a great man, to be honest. Forget everything else. Ask me if you ever talk anything. My ex-husband was a great man. He's so charming. He's so loving. He's so attentive. He's just like, wow. So she says, Mommy, these boys are eyeing you. They're asking, is this mama of yours married or not married? I'm like, I'm a widow. She says, yeah, somebody wants you among, they all want you, but some of them already are like kind of committed, but there's one who is not committed. Okay. I'm like, okay. Then we became friends. And then we got married. Right now, I just want to throw in something into this discussion.
Okay.
If I knew what I know today, which I hope some woman, some young girl, some man will come to hear, it should change their life. I looked at the emotional, physical input the relationship brought. I did not test his capacity. Can he handle a woman like me? Does he have the backbone, the spine to carry me? I did not do that. I looked at the doting, charming, attentive. Jamie was just a great man. I never knew a man who bring you roses, who bring you flowers, who bring you a chocolate, who bring you a perfume, who buy you, he wasn't a rich man. He was just a simple man, but within the little that he had, I didn't mind because I know I am a kingmaker. It doesn't matter where I meet you in my life, whoever has married me, has lived with me, they know I leave you somewhere in life. Okay. So that didn't bother me. But the capacity side, I did not check. There is a teacher I always listen to, and I want everybody to listen to this message by Dr. Miles Monroe, The Power of a Woman.
Yes, yes, yes.
I didn't test the male eagle. Can he fly at the same length like me? I just dropped the first small twig. He caught it. Then I'm like, we're good. How about if I drop the baby? Do you have the muscle to carry the baby? What if I drop? Do you have the muscle to carry me? That is where I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went through a little hell on earth. I was ignorant. I didn't know. We bought our first house. It was a private mortgage. Because what I said, okay, if you are able to do this work with this son of ours, we can do it. Let's start our own business. So we started our cleaning business, KGM the Pros. K for Kunguma, Jem for Jamie, the Pros. Went into the system. We started working. We get the clients. He doesn't want me to employ anybody because he doesn't want anybody to be paid. The money must come to us. If you get people to work, they will be harassed such that nobody wants to come close to you guys. If I try to get a job, you want to go out and, date those men. They are like after you. I had people like following me on the streets. They knew me. This is Unc's wife. You don't go close to her. And I'm innocent and I don't even know. 7 months into our marriage, he disappeared. I couldn't find him. I didn't know where to find him. I was everywhere. I had a stranger in the house, one of his cousins. And, I remember crying on the streets of Harrisburg with a phone looking for it. Have you seen this one? No. Have you seen this man? No. Where is? Then I went to my son and said, like, son, how do I find your uncle? I can't find him. He says, did you check the prison? I said, how do I check the prisons? Then I went online. He told me, you should be able if you go online. I went online. What I saw online shocked me. My husband had a 20-year in prison for murder. Oh! He has been in and out of prison for felonies on drugs and everything. The days he will go, because eventually he could now go to work with me. He says, I'm working with these guys. So wife, you can't come with me. Not knowing he's out there in the streets doing his business. I broke down and cried. I can't. What am I into? His family are the best people I've ever seen. He had 2 daughters. They all came, his mother's kids. He says, I never married her, but she's the mother to my kids. We're good friends. She came and said, Alice, you are a strong, good woman. Get out of the life of this man. He will bring you down with him. I said, no, my God does not allow that. I will pray. He wants an opportunity to have a life. She said, no. Go, move on. I said, I will not. I'll pray him. He'll come home.
Oh. And was he in jail at this time?
No, he was out in the streets.
Oh.
He had gone back full-time back in the streets. Because one thing that maybe eventually surprised me, when I go out to work, when I come home, there are some goodies in the house. He has changed. He has put on new clothes. You could tell somebody was sleeping in the bed, but he's not there anymore. I was working night shifts. I changed to day shifts so that I don't want my husband to come home and find that I'm not home. And he was seeing me, but until one day, this lady, D friend, came and said, Alice, you're so innocent and naive. Do you know what your husband is? I'm like, I saw online, but that's all I know. He says he's out there. He sees you every day. Everybody you ask about him, they'll be laughing at you. You'll be just like right there in the alleys. What? Says, yeah, you'll be out there in the alleys. Do you know your house is a drug house? I'm like, what? He says, yes, your house is a drug house. If you don't leave this place and the police comes and busts here, you'll be gone. You are the owner of the house. You are keeping drug dealers here. You'll be gone, girl. If I were you, I would leave immediately. Like, but I don't have a suitcase. I'm like, she went and brought me her suitcase. I packed. I called a sister friend. She said, you can come and crash on the couch. I went, I stayed with that lady. And this guy, I never saw him for some months. Fast forward, God being with me, moving forward, I found another house, moved in, starting my life. Things are happening, but I still did not have peace. I want my husband. Whatever is happening, I want him. I went to one of the ladies he called sister. I said, sis, I'm here. I want my husband. Where is he? She says, I haven't seen him for months. Then she said, okay, I'll do my best to look for him.
Yeah.
We started praying. I started praying. God, you can't, this house is nothing without him. Because you look at the dreams, the visions, the plans that you had together. One day, I get a call from this lady's sister. Says, Alice. Said, yep, can you come here immediately? Leave everything that you're doing, come here. Said, is it okay? Have you found Jamie? He says, no, I want you to come here. I want to speak to you in person.
Mm-hmm.
I went. Jamie is in jail. Said, what? She said, he is in jail. What's the story? He wants to talk to you. He's looking for his wife. So let's call him. We need to put money on the jail phone so that he can call you. I didn't know that. I did everything. We got on a call. The great man is crying, no, wife, I'm so sorry. Oh, wife, please. We spoke. What do you want me to do? I want to get out of here. Do you mean it? He says, yes, I mean it. What's your charge? Armed robbery.
Oh.
Possession of drugs. I said, drugs again? I thought we are done with drugs and fines. Oh, wife, why? Yeah. You know, they always have something nice to tell you. They always have something nice to convince you. I went on my knees. That's when I said, prayer has power. Long story short, we prayed him out of prison. I got a lawyer for him. He was represented, and eventually the charges were thrown, and I think he had what they call a parole or something for 2 years. Okay. 1 year, 2 years, somewhere there. In between, he was a very nice man. He even said, when I was in prison, I told the prison chaplain that, can I have a Bible? And they asked me why. I was so shameful to tell them my wife is a pastor, and where I was and having a pastor for a wife, that did not match. For sure, when he came out of prison, he was the greatest husband for a few months. We would go to church together. We would volunteer. My church programs was counted as a church member. Things were happening. I was like, thank you, God. But does he have the spine, a backbone to carry you? We fought through everything. I said, okay, since you can't stop drugs, why don't you go into a rehabilitation? No, I don't like those places. So how can I help you? I can leave them. The way I started, I can leave them. Do you know, there's one time we drove throughout Pennsylvania, state by county by county, looking for a place to relocate. Because he's saying, oh, the influence is here in Harrisburg. If I change, my environment will be the better. Okay, let's buy an RV. We bought an RV. Let's go and stay in an RV camp. We rent our house. Then we start a new place. And then eventually we find money. We buy another house in a better community. Yeah. We drove throughout Pennsylvania. We couldn't find a place to stay. Why? Because he has to be in Harrisburg, because that's where all the supplies are. That's where all the connections are. Everywhere we went, he is lost. Every day he needs to have $25. Actually, it used to be $70. If he doesn't get that $70, there's no peace in the house until you take it and give it so that you can have peace of mind. Until I said, man, I can't afford this. It's too much on me. Let's bring it down. Then we started doing maths. Then we agreed for the past 6 months of the last months of our lives together, he had to have $25 every day to buy his cigarettes, to buy his, I used to call it smoke. So that at least you can sleep a little bit. You are talking just so well just now, you just burst into tantrums. I've had people who I was staying within the house, leave the house and sleep in hotels because they were told, I will cut you up. And he meant it. I ended up like saying, man, if I see your smoke in this house again, you fly through the window and your smoke. This point of, Alice, I'll kill you. Let me tell you, look me straight in the face. Before I die, you will be dead. I've had enough of this. If I see a gun in this house, before I call the police, it will be in the streets. So it was, it's a book on its own, because these were 2.5 years of my life in America. Then we were now living in this RV park. I had to drive 40 miles every day to Harrisburg so that he can go and get his smoke. So how much do you work? What do you do? If you drive 40 hours to 40 hours back, don't think you drive, you get home, he takes the car, he goes, he does what he's doing, he comes back, you go home, you can't even work. The clients are so frustrated with us because when we go there, you can't do proper work because you'll be throwing tantrums. You can't get a formal job because you will come and tell you are going out with people from that place. I know they're following you. I had a life that I cannot even explain. Until one day I realized his ex-girlfriend he was living with before he met me was in Pittsburgh. Then they reconnected. And I asked it, we had an open phone. How he would look at my phone, I would look at his phone. What's up with this girl? Oh, I want to show you now I have a life. I've got a beautiful wife, a pastor. I've got a house. I'm now back on my feet. I'm a man. She used to think she's everything. I want to revenge. I'm like, but revenge is sour. She has to see it. It's okay. One day the tenants call me, can you please come and take Mr. Coles? He is throwing tantrums here. Wife, I'm walking home. I'm like, how did you go there? Because the girl had come. She had come to pick him from the park where we were staying. Because he says, drive me. I said, I'm not driving you anywhere. I'm going to work. So the girl came and picked him. Then she sends a message and say, I'm walking back to Harrisburg. I'm saying, good luck. When you get tired, you can always take a rest and then let me know when you get there safely. And then after their nice time, he wants to come back home. The girl is gone. He wants me to go and pick him. The tenants will call me, Miss Alice, please come and take Mr. Coles. He's just throwing tantrums here. We have no peace. And you want your tenants to have peace and you want them to pay you rent so that you can survive. He can get his $25 every day. Sometimes we just have to go and get him. And this particular weekend that I said, enough is enough. He started, I was doing my Uber DoorDash, Instacart. It was during after COVID. Instacart was a hit. He says, you have to come back. Why? Where are you? You have to come back right now before I burn this place down. And if you want to go and sleep, you have to go. Because if you don't go, there is no sleep. I drove back. What's the story? You have to take me to Harrisburg. And I want my money. Like, you called me. I haven't even worked. I don't even have enough money for gas. The little that I worked, we're just going to put gas to take us to Harrisburg. And then we have to go and work in Harrisburg and get that money so that you can get the $25 you need. We were driving. He says, you're not driving fast enough. I'll drive myself. I said, but how many driving without a license do you have? But if you want peace, drive. Then, not knowing the girl is in Harrisburg, he's waiting for his boyfriend to come. So I said, hi, girl. Oh, hi, honey. I said, no, you're not talking to him. You're talking to his wife. Says, oh, okay. Where is he? I said, well, he's driving. But let me ask you, do you want him? She said, yes, at all costs. I said, no, you don't need to pay anything. I'll just give him over to you. She says, yeah, please, I need him back. I said, okay, you have him. That's all I said. Ladies, there's no way to fight with another woman over a man. I always say, faithfulness, honor, respect is given. You don't demand it. It's how much the person values you to be able to give you those things. If you find your husband cannot be faithful, your husband does not honor you, your husband does all the things you think, it's because he doesn't have the spine. He cannot afford you. He doesn't even know himself. He's looking for himself in you.
So it's a good point that you're pointing that. But I also say you also don't have the spine to love yourself, to honor yourself, to be faithful to you. Before you can ask for that faithfulness and the honor, I think when we begin right back to where it's supposed to start, self-love, loving ourselves, what are you worth? Are you worthy? Do you feel worthy? Do you think you deserve more? And when you start there, you can see from a mile away that, you know what? I don't think this person is supposed to be the person for me. I don't think this person will have the backbone to support me, because you will know what your standards are. You will know who you are, right?
But again, why do we get into marriage?
Yeah.
While procreation is part of life,
yeah.
But God did not, there's also more to life in a relationship than just procreation.
True.
Companionship, support. This intimate thing, it's just a part of a benefit in a relationship. But if the man has the guts to say you are in the house, he's talking to another woman in your face, it means you have no value in his face. You have your beautiful lipstick, you chose the color maroonish red. And then you take a pink one and put on top. What are you trying to say? Wipe off the maroon, put back the pink. So you are a wiped off lipstick on his lips. So much of the problems we have in life as women and in relationship is because, like I say, it may not be even self-love. We don't know our worth. And then you're trying to put your golden ring on a pig's knot. What do you expect the pig to do? It will go and graze in the dirt with it because he doesn't know the worth. So why are you fighting with another woman over somebody who has a brain and a mind of his own? She was lied to like you've been lied to. So I handed him over to her. I didn't even fight her. I didn't even call her names because there's no bitch in this world. The bitch is the man because he's the one who changes you like clothes and underwear. When he's done with this, he throws it in the laundry basket. He's done with this. I know women are doing it as well. They pick men as clothes, take this one, drop them. But I don't believe every woman is like that. I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, a hurt and a bruised woman. They take you, use you, dump you in the washing basket. And then when they want you, they wash you, then they take you back. You are recycled in their lives. So the other woman is not the problem. The problem is the man. He doesn't know his worth. He doesn't know the value of what he has in his life. So I handed him over to the girl and I moved on. I didn't want him to say you left with everything. I left him with everything. even my valuable treasures all the way from my island because I wanted to leave as lightly as possible. And I didn't want him to see that I'm leaving. Because after that episode where we drove and this girl is waiting, the man misbehaved. He couldn't wait to say, give me the car. I want to go and get my smoke. Not knowing he wants the car to go and see the girl. Because he knows once he goes out, I will not look for him. I will not call him until he comes home. So I said, okay, while I do shopping for Instacart, you go do these DoorDash orders. When I finish shopping, you can pick me, we deliver this order. And then you have your $25 and you leave me alone. So I went to do the shopping for Instacart. He goes to do a DoorDash. He takes the order, I don't know what he did. Then he comes, I say, can you come for me? He says, I'm here and we have no time to deliver that order. We have to go to Harrisburg immediately. We were like around the Hershey area. But what do we do with this customer's order? I don't care. And once he says, I don't care, if you want your peace, zip your mouth. He started calling me names the way he does. I don't answer. He would call me names. You would curse on me. You would scream. If you hear him screaming, even the rats and the cockroaches will go into hiding. Then I said, look, man, you want your $25. If we don't deliver this order, there's no $25. I don't care. I want to go to Harrisburg. I said, it's okay. We drove when we were almost into Harrisburg from Haitian. He says, where is my money? I said, your money is in the trunk. That order we did not deliver, that's where your money is. Why didn't you deliver the order? I said, excuse me. I thought you said, let's go to Harrisburg. Then he starts ranting. Do you know, he held the steering. I was driving. I want to crush us all. And these were not the first time I've experienced these threats. But because now I've made up my mind, I'm handing you over to where you are wanted. Don't kill me. I still have a life to live. I have nothing to hold on to you for. By the time we delivered the order, it was too late. It was canceled in the system. It closed my Instacart account. I didn't care. As long as I got my life, he could feel it. This woman is changed. I know normally when he runs, he pants, I'll be quiet. But this kind of quietness and silence I had could tell him that something is all right. Why are you quiet? I'm like, I'm okay, let's go home. Here's your $25. Then he went. By the time he came back, I'd made up my mind in the morning. I'm leaving. I remember walking out, he was sitting on the doorsteps. Morning, wife. How are you, wife? I'm like, I'm good, man. How are you? Husband, I'll call him back. Husband, how are you? Well, I'm nice, wife. Oh, I've just collected the mail. What do you want? I said, no, I just want to check something from behind there. Okay, what do you want? He was so doting when he's a man. I'm like, no, it's okay. I take care of myself. He didn't know I'm leaving. You know, I went around the house and I just said, God, you have to hide me. You have to cover me. I'd already hired a U-Haul, a truck from U-Haul. I actually hired a van from U-Haul. So I knew I just need to go out there, call an Uber, go to U-Haul, get my van, go back to the caravan, to the RV park, get my small bag, and just move out of his life. And that's how I left. I was in my caravan for a day. And when he realized I didn't come back, he knew she is gone. There was commotion. Where is my wife? Where is my wife? You know where my wife is. I had to ask the tenants to call the police on him. I called my neighbor. Then my neighbor said, we knew you were a misfit. What happened? I told them. They said, congratulations. Are you going to look back? I said, no, I'm not looking back. So where are you? I'm in a rented U-Haul van. I left him with the car, the house, the RV, everything. They said, can we find you a place to stay? I said, I can't stay anywhere in Harrisburg. So what are you going to do? I said, I just stay in my van until I find out what I'm going to do with my life. Then they found me a women's shelter, and I went to stay in the shelter. Then I started picking back the pieces of my life. I bought my first car. I went back on the road. I started working. But that kind of heart of, let me give him a chance. Maybe, because I wrote him a letter like, man, I can only come back to see you when you've gone into rehab, you are out of your drugs, and you are confirmed drug-free, and you are back in your senses. Because yes, while I know you now you have mental issues, but your mental issues are aggravated by the drugs. So I gave him time. Work on yourself. I'm not going anywhere. I know you have the potential to bounce back. I've seen people who can bounce back. But you can only tell a person to, but it is them that do. I always say you take a horse to the well to drink. No matter how fresh the water is, if the horse is not willing to bend down and drink the water, it can step into the water and make it muddy and walk out without drinking the water. So my husband decided he can't drink the water. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on my divorce. It's not an easy thing. It's a story for another day. I've fought, and this time I'm like, I want my freedom. And this is 3 years after leaving. Why? Where are you? I feel sick. Hey, you Africans. Do you think you're anything?
Ladies and gentlemen, I know this was not our normal way of doing this podcast. There's a reason why I let the story be told. We all have stories. The person that we are today is based on the stories that we either have lived or the stories that we have told ourselves. This was the debut, the beginning of a podcast that I know all of you will follow and will want to know more. There are many places when you re-listen to this podcast where she said, a story for another day, story for another day, story for another day. I kept laughing and I was smiling because all of you didn't know what I know, that this is the birth of a podcast that Chaplain will be doing. And that birth of the podcast is where you're going to hear each of those parts of the stories where she said, story for another day, story for another day. She will be telling those stories in that podcast. And the reason why we do bouncing back is because we are giving an opportunity for you to birth a new story, for you to tell a new story, but most of all, to enjoy your best life, because we are all here to live our best life. We are born, but there's a gap between the day that you're born and the day that you die. There's this gap. And what we are doing is helping you leave the gap and making sure that you make the most of the gap. You heard Chaplain when she was telling this story, that now her calling is not to just bring you to Jesus and not just to bring you to pray, but to bring you to gain the strength, the resilience to live the life that Jesus or God gave you. So, Chaplain, I don't want to ask any more questions because I know for sure that she's also a part of our Bounce Back Book 3. Our Bounce Back Book 3 is titled Bounce Back from Struggles to Success. So all of you are waiting for that chapter. I cannot wait. You heard only part of the story of what Bruised but Not Broken is all about. We will have a chapter in the book, Struggles to Success. And as she was talking, something in me, which is only the Holy Spirit, told me that she's also going to be on stage in Australia for the Bounce Back Empowerment Conference number 6. So look out. I know all of us are headed to Australia in November. Something in me tells me that she's going to be on stage and we are going to hear her speak in person on stage. So this is one way that we also say, you know what, God, you told us, but we didn't know how we're going to do it. But I know for sure that she's going to be among the speakers for the 6th annual Bounce Back Empowerment Conference 2025, which is happening in Melbourne, Australia, which you can get all the information on our website. For those of you that have not gone there, it's www.drstemi.com and get more information as well as register for the 6th annual Bounce Back Empowerment Conference. Chaplain, words of encouragement, because I know I can't wait for the Bounce Back, for your own podcast that you have debuted right here on the Bouncing Back podcast today.
I owe this to the Lindrums.
Yes.
They told me in 2019, the world is waiting for your story. But I didn't have the story to tell then because I thought, raised in Africa where you can't speak because they think you are showing off or you are trying to attract attention. But today, I'm so honored on Martin Luther King Day and on the ordination of a man that I honor so much because of his love for God, our president, that I'm launching this podcast. I'm so excited about what God is about to do in the lives of people. I say, until you experience it, you cannot talk about it. And I'm just saying to every woman, you are worth every penny this world has. You are valuable. Don't mind the other woman. She is just a victim like you. I've been a victim. I've seen what men can do, but that doesn't make me say they are bad people. Unfortunately, they don't know who they are. I remember Dr. Stem, you're telling me about at one time you were just a social worker in a library. Until people realize that, this is more than just a social worker. We have Dr. Stem here. So many of our brothers out there, many of our sons out there, they don't know who they are. That's why they are running from one woman to the next woman to the next woman. They are trying to look for themselves. I know in this bruised but not broken, I want to talk to men more because, there's no way we can remove their place in creation they had. But do they have the muscle to carry the head? Because if you put this head on a spineless body, it will roll over. So our men are rolling all over, not because they can't, but they've not grown the spine. And how can you grow the spine if you don't know who you are? I know who I am. That's why I'm sitting here with you. I'm the excellence of God. I'm the light of the world. Like I said, I carry the world on me. I'm a solution provider. I have solutions for the world. I always say to people, if God grants you the grace to come my way, I must touch your life. I must leave something that must make an impact, not because of me, but I'm carrying it for the world, not for myself. So when the world says, let your light shine, you don't shine for yourself. You shine for others. I love this song. that says, when our days are done on earth, there are streets of gold in heaven and a hand to hold. But you just cannot go there in those streets of gold. You have to light your candle for somebody to see the way. I am that candle. And somebody must find themselves. When you shall hear those stories for another day, you realize that I don't fight women. Neither do I even fight the men. I respect their ignorance, because knowledge is different from wisdom and understanding and intelligence. One can be intelligent and be so learned, but so dull, like somebody who never went to grade 1 because they lack wisdom and understanding.
Yeah.
You're talking to your pastor, Chaplain. If you ask me to talk, I'll make another sermon of 1 hour.
I let it go. I allowed it to go, because I know this is the beginning of something that, we've been waiting for one. And it's almost like you've been pregnant, and today is that day of birth. So I did not want to stop it, because when a mother is ready to give birth, that baby is coming out no matter what. You can cut her, she can push, but that baby is coming out. It's time to come out. So today I felt it. And I was like, you know what, let me just lay back. And so may you allow that light to continue to shine. May it not go dim ever again as you begin tonight, because the birth has been done. We've done the work, and God has been with us on this platform today for you to birth it. I cannot wait to be a guest, as well on there, because then, you've been my guest. I can't wait to be your guest, as well.
Thank you, Dr. Stem.
I know
the podcast didn't have a theme until you gave it a theme, Dr. Stem. I owe it to you too.
So we can't wait, to see where God takes you with this. So I can't wait for, me to read your chapter and, add it into Struggles to Success, because, you've already been accepted as an author for Bounce Back Book 3. And I cannot wait to meet you in person in Melbourne, Australia in November. So this is exciting.
Me too. I'm excited.
All right, Chaplain.
I have a reason to leave.
I know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I know this has been like out of the norm, and this is the beauty of doing podcasts, right? I know we usually will do 30, 40 minutes, but then it also, as the Spirit leads and also as we need to, I wanted you to hear this story. I wanted you to know that it is possible to bounce back. And this is an ideal bouncing back story that we had today. So we cannot wait to see and hear where she is going, because as you bounce back, you're being renewed. So it is a renewed life that you'll be leading, and we will bring her back again to tell us where she will be and how that's going for her. So to all of you, thank you for watching the Bouncing Back podcast with yours truly, Dr. Stem. Until then, God bless. We'll see you again. Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Bouncing Back podcast with Dr. Stem. We hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with valuable insights. Remember, no matter the challenges you face, resilience is within your reach. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Join us next time for more stories of strength and perseverance. Until then, keep bouncing back.